Well, I'm delighted to be joined by one of the greats of New Zealand motorsport, of course, Greg Murphy, who has, like so many other great champions, decided to take part in the 66th New Zealand Grand Prix. Greg, thanks for joining us. First and foremost, how did this come about? Why did you feel, that you wanted to be part of this event?
Two reasons, Jonathan. Yeah, it's not something that I'd have had a long-term plan for. Obviously, we've got a very different situation this year for the Toyota Racing Series, and we know how successful it's been with the international sort of profile that it's gained over the years. And then COVID stepped in and changed things around. So, the two things that made me really consider wanting to be involved were, one, Kenny Smith, 50th attempt at the New Zealand Grand Prix, which is unheralded and just something to be, quite honoured to be a part of. And the other one is first time here at Hampton Downs. Big sign behind me. Love this place, love this racetrack. Spent a lot of time here. Great association with Tony Quinn and Josie Spillane and their team. And, it was like too good to refuse.
Yeah, and I think I really do think Kenny will be touched by the amount of people that he's been part of, including yourself, over the years, and also some of the youngsters he's looked after and helped. I think it'll be a fitting way to celebrate what is a truly momentous occasion, not just for Kenny, but for New Zealand motorsport.
Yeah, really well said, because, just what Kenny has done for the sport as a whole and for so many individuals over the years, the support and ability to open doors and help in so many ways has been such a massive contributing factor for so many successful drivers out of this country, and me included. So, that deserves that recognition. And at 78 years of age, I mean, it's just staggering to see him still as energetic, still as committed as what he's ever been, and New Zealand and the rest of the world also, deserves to understand that and pay tribute to a man who's done so much.
And now you've done a bit of practice yourself, and I know you're not rusty, but you don't drive these cars every day. And I was there when you tested it for the first time last year. But I think once you've been in the FT60, you realise just how physical it is and how amazing it is that he's doing it at that age.
Yeah, it is. The single seaters are where I sort of initially cut my teeth, and is where I wanted to go as a professional driver if I could possibly be one. That didn't quite work out, but I got to drive a lot of, fast single seaters over a period of time, and for me that's still the purest form of motorsport, and I still love getting on board one every now and then just to have a drive or do a story or something. But I didn't consider that I was, or ever think that I was going to be getting back in a competitive sort of nature, especially in a race that is so significant as the NZ Grand Prix. But once you're in the car, it feels very comfortable, familiar, I should say. It's not so comfortable anymore. The old body doesn't react as well as the young one used to, and you do need to adapt again. And the FT60 is a compact car, obviously completely up to date and all modern designs, including the safety side of things, and therefore it's not as adjustable, not as easy to manipulate, where you sit in the car to get comfortable, and that certainly was a bit of an issue straight out of the box for me. And we've made some changes and mods, and it definitely now is much easier than what it was initially. So I'm feeling comfortable and pretty confident. Wouldn't say 100% that I'm going to be able to get through the three races this weekend, and they're all significant on the long circuit, the 3.9K circuit here at Hampton Downs, the international track. So, that's new for everybody, and it's going to be, it's definitely going to be a challenge regardless.
And Greg, for you personally, at the end of the day, it might be a different one, but it is a New Zealand Grand Prix. Am I right in saying you won it in 1994?
Yeah, let's count the amount of people on the grid that were alive or born in 1994, shall we? Kenny. And I think maybe that's it.
Who did you race against back in 1994, and how did that go?
So 94 was an interesting one. It was a bit of a crossover, actually, between where New Zealand motorsport and the Grand Prix had been as far as running Formula Atlantic cars. So Formula Atlantic was the way for a very long time, and I raced a couple of seasons in Formula Atlantic through the National Series, and did a couple of Grand Prix, one in a Rolt RT4 and the other in a Swift DB4. And then 94 came around, and I was in a 3000 car that was converted to Australian driver, racing driver rules and the Formula Holden kind of platform. So it had a V6, 3.8 litre V6 engine in it. Not nowhere near as powerful, obviously, as the 3000, but still very capable, and the chassis and the handling, the aerodynamics, obviously very, very good in a 3000 car. So I had one of those. My car was run by a team out of Australia. It was a 90D, a Reynard 90D. Sort of, I suppose, the biggest competition that year was a guy by the name of Paul Stokel, who was a very accomplished Australian racing car driver. So, it was a mixed field between Formula Holdens, or Brabhams, as they were sort of maybe called back then as well, and Formula Atlantic. So probably, to be bluntly honest, probably wasn't the most competitive season that year. Craig Beard was actually running, but he was in an Atlantic car. And a mix of other guys as well. So it was a lot of fun. It was still a great experience, and obviously a huge accolade to win that race and have my name on that trophy. And I only did one more Grand Prix after that, 95, and ended up crashing through the trees at Manfield. That was my last GP. So I'm hoping that this one ends a lot better than that one.
Well, the tradition continues, because I've been hanging out with Junior here in the States. Are you pleased with his progress, and how does Ronan look at the future now?
Yeah, it's challenging, and you know how tough 2020 was for everybody, and certainly in the heading overseas to try and take on a racing career. Last year was challenging, and he learned a lot. It didn't go the way he planned it to go. I don't think it went the way anyone planned it to go. It was just lots of challenges, and him, had a great team with Kiwi Motorsport and loved being with them. But I think at the race meetings, he didn't have any support with him, that was there for the support of him. And I think that was probably the hardest thing for him to deal with. Everything else he loved being away from us, I think, loved being in America, and even though there was lots of COVID around, it was an amazing experience. Moving forward, we don't really have too much of a plan at this stage. He's doing Toyota 86 this year, this championship. So he's racing this weekend. So 2 Murphys on the grid in 2 different classes this weekend, which is a bit unusual. But he's still loving his driving and his racing, and is keen to continue to do whatever he can. It's just a tough game, as we know, to get established in.
So have you employed him as a spotter or a helmet carrier or a cleaner or what?
I don't think he's trustworthy. He talks too much to too many people. So
where did he get that from?
Yeah, I don't know. He would, I think, be late constantly for my needs if I gave him any responsibility.
Finally, Greg, it's great to have you back in racing, and I know Sunday will be a special day either way, whatever happens. But I got to ask you, when you put that helmet on and you look across the grid and you see Chris and Shane and, guys that you either didn't race against or know what they achieved, which was either similar or the same as you're going to go for it, aren't you?
Well, you have to. I mean, I've been competitive for too long, and it doesn't matter if I'm riding a mountain bike or a dirt bike, climbing hills, it doesn't matter what it is. You end up looking over your shoulder to see how close the guy is behind you. So there's no doubt that we're all, regardless of what we say, when those lights go green on Sunday afternoon, we're going to be chasing it. But there's still a bit of, in my mind, I've still got, I think, a little bit of reality in there about where I am at the moment, and as far as my preparedness for this. So I think everyone is really looking forward to just being out there and doing this in this current situation, and feeling very fortunate that we've got the opportunity to have a crack. So it is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to racing some of these guys that I haven't raced before at all, and just seeing who can come out on top with the with the big stick.
And finally, obviously you'll be racing the future of New Zealand motorsport, which again is exciting. The Billy Frasers, yep. Caleb Narto. Is there anybody that you have been impressed with that has a touch of the Lawsons, a touch of the Dixons, a touch of the Murphys about him?
So I think this potentially, like this weekend, is maybe the time to actually really see if that is the case. I think what those guys have been doing, obviously doing a fair bit of racing in other categories, but mostly lower categories, Formula Ford and the likes. And Formula Ford is definitely a category that does, has people stand out. And Billy definitely is a standout. I've known Caleb for a long time, and, I really do believe he's got an amazing set of skills as well. And as you said, there's a bunch of other guys in the category as well, young drivers, that want to, use this as a springboard, and potentially this weekend might be the, that piece of the puzzle that they need to go to that next level. So we'll be keeping an eye on it. We know we've got a very deep, talent pool here, and who's next to actually follow the footsteps of the likes of Liam or Marcus Armstrong, the likes into Europe. I'm not quite sure, but I don't doubt one of these guys is going to do that.
Well, I'm excited for all of you down there and for New Zealand motorsport in general. I think I've been wanting this celebration. I look down the grid at the Raw from the 24, and Scott's there, Earl's there, guys that have raced in the Toyota series like Pippo Durrani. And then, of course, we've got so many others, Ronan included, racing internationally. So I think it's a great celebration for New Zealand motorsport too.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is. I think it's giving a chance for to grab some of that recognition back that we used to have, and maybe has just sort of slowly depleted over the years. And it's been brought back by the fact, the opportunity that was presented, and putting names back into the category and into New Zealand motorsport at this time of the year. And it's it's going to be really nice to, I think, see a big crowd here at Hampton Downs over the weekend, and a lot of the people that I've been talking to that have even sent notes and texts and emails and caught up with over the last few weeks, are aware of the event this weekend, and possibly they wouldn't normally come along, but this weekend they are, and that's pretty awesome to hear that.
Well, Greg Murphy, thank you so much for joining us, and have a great weekend. Enjoy it. Thanks for coming and being part of it. I know you'll enjoy it as much as all the other participants, and it'll be a special day, one to remember.
It will be. Thanks, Jonathan.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it.